So, March of 2022, a little film called X hit the theater. It had a very Boogie Nights meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre from the coming attractions. Yes, exactly. Um, from coming attractions, that's what it kind of looks like. Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Boogie Nights. And, of course, X got really big. And at the end of that film, if you stayed all the way through the credits, right after preview for Pearl. Pearl came out a few months later, as we all know, in September 2022. A very short turnaround because Ty West and everybody were quarantined in New Zealand or something like that, and they had a lot of time on their hand, so they wrote 2 movies at once. Very, almost like how King Kong and The Most Dangerous Game was pretty much made back-to-back on the same sets. So after the end of Pearl, if you were smart enough to stay again, there was a common attraction. A little VHS scrambled, little music, Hollywood skyline of what was supposed to be says Hollywood sign. It said Maxine XXX with 3 X's, which for almost a year, almost 2 years, probably the most anticipated movie for me, anyways. I'm speaking for myself. That most anticipated movie in recent memory for me that I really want to see. So, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, it was like they're getting a July 4th screening, which we're all buzzing about because leading up to Maxine, was like, oh, Kevin Bacon's in it. You know, it's going to be about this. Oh, it's going to have something to do with Richard Ramirez. Of course, closer we get, it's building up, and finally July 4th comes, and I have to say it's well worth the wait. Maxine starts in 1985, 6 years after the massacre in Texas. I think they refer as to the Texas adult movie massacre or something like that. Excuse me, I don't have anything right offhand because it's been a few weeks since I've seen the movie, and I know a lot of people have already gave their feelings on the movie, but I've been busy, and plus, it's always nice to sit, think a while. Kind of like, let everything, set in, how you feel. Dude, I really liked it, but, knee-jerk reactions are a big thing on the internet. Trust me. So the movie starts, Maxine comes in her audition for Puritan 2, which is the sequel to the first Puritan movie in this little fake movie. So she does this audition, yada yada yada. And cut to walking out of soundstage to ZZ Top. At this time, I believe the Eliminator was right around the corner, if not already out. But Give Me All You Lovin' is the title track, and they're showing montages of uh, one was Ronald Reagan, the PMRC, which I was like, yeah, that's a real that's a real D cuff reference, and actually had a thing right. Wow, I can't believe I wonder how long Tippa Gore's been deceased. And I was like, looked it up, and it's like, oh, she's not deceased just because she's divorced from Al Gore means it doesn't, and she's not has no social media presence, and she's like 75 years old. Terrible woman. Also, showed Dee Snyder, which you know kind of has become a tool. Um, and of course, it showed news coverage of Richard Ramirez, and whole movie is like they're blaming Richard Ramirez for all this crimes that happen in their movie. So after credits play, by the way, she has a license plate, Maxine, a very fitting way to put um, name of the movie. No scroll, no text, no, this like that. Maxine. I actually got this during Amazon Prime a few weeks ago. Awesome. And of course, she tries like a maniac. She goes back to her regular job as a adult dancer slash adult actress, and she has a friend who works in the in a video store, knows in and out, very tech guy. Um, so that's all set up there. Of course, she has a nice little apartment. She's really loving the nose candy and all this stuff. She's really nailed this part of Puritan too. Then one day, her friend, who is the video store guy, who is the cliche nerdy guy who knows in and out of movies and whatnot. And so they're at her apartment watching the first Puritan movie, and she gets a knock on the door. Some mysterious figure hands her a police tape, and it turns out this mysterious person is Kevin Bacon. And by the way, Moses Simeon as Leonard. Leon is her friend. So, while Leon is asleep on the couch, she puts in the video. It's stuff, crime scene stuff from the massacre in Texas. And she keeps it all to herself, yada yada yada. So, one thing I really enjoy about this movie is they do stuff on the Universal backlot. They go to Bates Motel. They go to the Bates house. I'm just going to basically jump around the plot of the movie because why not? So yeah, and meanwhile, you have police, dead girl showing up. Of course, Maxine is a streetwalker. She makes a guy strip and steps on his Well, you have to see the movie. So, anyways, of course, her friend gets invited to a party up in the hills, very exclusive club, very mysterious, and yada yada yada. So next day, Maxine goes to the lot, meets with the director of the movie, meets the star of the Puritan 2, gets a note from Kevin Bacon to meet up. They meet up, and yada yada yada. Gosh, there's so much I want to talk about. So this little cat and mouse stuff. More snagging happens with opinion on Richard Ramirez, who, in reality, at this time, in 1985, was he was not where he wasn't in L.A., so can't really pin the crimes on him. So, of course, going on, there is like these activist groups that were. You gotta remember the Satan Pain was around this time, so they're protesting, and that's a thing. If you ever get a chance to look that up. So Maxine goes to her agent, tell her, "Hey, this is happening." Yada yada. Of course, Maxine. This is probably one of my favorite deaths in a movie. Happens. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's very very good. It's probably the most unique. One thing about Ty West I found out is his deaths are very unique, and I'd say this one is very unique. I've been watching. I'm 38 years old. I would say the last 30 years, 30 plus years, I've been watching movies that I can remember, and this is probably the best death scene in a movie ever. Trust me on it. Plus, really great action and a seedy nightclub, yada yada yada. And so eventually she confronts all these people who's doing these shenanigans to these girls and all pinning out on Richard Ramirez. One thing about crime podcasts they would never say is there's always people always do a kind of copycat killing, and around this time this is very very same thing you don't really hear anymore because everything you got the internet, phones, etc. So all these stuff is getting blamed on Richard Ramirez, but really it's just turns out this people in Hill are fundamentalist and cult, of course, and do I tell you the twist? You know what? Let's come back to that. So, anyways, I stayed through the entire credit sequence, and man, so far there is not going to be, as of right now, Maxine 4. Overall, I enjoyed it. Was it better? Is probably here's Pearl and here's Maxine. These movies got better and better and better. I like how it took them a little time to work on this, work a few things out, but it's worth it. By the way, Ty West has a thing for lighting people on fire in his movies too. Weird. So, anyways, So far, it's made what $19 million worldwide, 14 millions here in the States as end of August. Honestly, it's not. Me personally, what came out in the an A24 is a small budget studio. It's versus what has been coming out. What was it? Bad Boys for Life, um, some cartoon movie, some other big budget stuff that came out around this time. Of course, nobody's gonna beat Deadpool Wolverine movie. We all know that. And for a small budget like that and an entertaining movie like this, I think there's a chance there might be a Maxine 4. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie, but did they take the time to? Most people don't take the time, give another movie a chance, take another watch. But me, I personally enjoyed it. Like I said, it's slightly better than Pearl. Pearl was a good thriller, good movie to reflect on life, so to speak. But like I said, this is a little bit better than Pearl. Not by much, but I like it better than Pearl. Plus, I'm a real sucker of the '80s stuff and all that. So, I kind of hope if they're going to do a Maxine 4, um, do they how they do it? Because at the end of the movie, she probably becomes a star. Who knows? But there's been screen queens made one or two actual movies and disappear from reality. That's if you watch Joe Bob Briggs stuff, he tells you these girls do one or two movies and that's their whole career in the '80s. Sad, and it's kind of like the first Jennifer in Back to the Future. She did a couple of movies. She did Back to the Future. She got tied up in another project, and that's pretty much it. Almost like Phoebe Cates. Phoebe Cates didn't really do anything much after Drop Dead Fred. So yeah, when Maxine drops on video on demand, whenever it does, I highly recommend check it out. I think it'd be worth the couple extra bucks to rent it. I'm personally going to buy it. Sight unseen. I'm going to wait till pre-orders. I'm going to pre-order because I really enjoyed Pearl. I really enjoyed this. So, you know what? So here's this. Nah, not going to let you know what happens, but I don't want to know the plot twist. Trust me. Watch X. It's there. It's there. So until I see you another time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, I see you down.